It's a good thing this is the last class of the day and of the week, so that we don't have to focus on more classes rest of the week, said Eli when he exited the classroom with his childhood friend and roommate William. Oh yeah, that's for sure, said William. Considering of how much college is, a lot of hard work and a lot of studies. I mean, for exams, tests, and all that. Well, we should have been at least been aware of that, since we both apply for the same college. That's true. So, any plans for the rest of the day? Actually, let me guess. You're going to hang out with Amy. You know me so well. Hey, I'm your childhood best friend, so why wouldn't I? Yeah, that's true. So, what were you up to? I might just hang out with Ava, just play games on our phones or do something, but I really haven't planned anything. That's true. Both Eli and William are from the same town in the state of Oregon. They have been best friends since the first grade. And the girl named Ava that William talked about is another childhood friend of them. So, since you want to spend time with Ava, what are you going to do though? Said William back. I'm actually going to take Amy to a cafe nearby, just grab something to eat, since, you are all such lovey-dovey couple, aren't you? Hey, she's my fiance. Well, I'm just happy for you, dude. I'm just truly happy for you have found someone to be with, said William. Well, you probably should be let your special lady be waiting. What do you mean? Well, she's waiting over there. Oh, I'll see you later then. Yeah. So William walked off while Eli walked over to Amy. Sorry for me let you waiting long. Nah, no, I've been waiting that long, said Amy with a big smile. Amy was not from the state of Oregon herself. She was actually from South Carolina. She actually met Eli during the first year of college. They had been, at the first, they were just friends. But after 6 months of knowing her, he asked her out on a date and she said yes immediately. It turned out during the first few months of being knowing each other, Amy had started to get some liking to Eli. When he was told by that, he was really much stunned. But he was happy. And during the third year of college together, Eli took Amy to the local park for a picnic, where he said to Amy, You know, Amy, we have been together for 3 years and we often talk about our future together. And I know this might be a little bit rushed, but will you marry me? Eli stood on his knees showing a ring, and Amy she was stunned. She started crying and said, Yes, I want to marry you, Eli. When they informed both families, they were just quite excited. In fact, they didn't tell the families about this until they came to see each other for during that same winter holiday break. They spent the first Christmas at Eli's family, and they spent the New Year's with Amy's family in South Carolina, and they were both quite excited about this. Amy was just happy and found her true happiness and such joy in her life. They went to the cafe together, just grabbed something to eat. So, do you have any other plans for today? Well, how about we go to the park? Since it's a nice day. Yeah, I mean, it's not unlike we would even have the good time. That's a good true. Eli was truly happy now when he asked Amy out all those 3 years ago. Before then, he were actually in a relationship in his senior year of high school. But unfortunately, his girlfriend broke up with him after she found out that he was going to a different college. And she also had been falling, she wasn't much in love with him anymore. Eli took it quite hard at the time. But luck for him, he had William and Ava by his side to comfort him. When they informed him that they were going to the same college as him, that cheered him up. At least he had his close friends to be with going to college. And his family was actually even happy that he was going to college, since he was the only one in his family so far has been going to college. So, how was your day in the school though? To your classes? Asked Eli with a smile. You know, as the usual. What are yours? As always, a long story, long classes, but what can you do? I'm just, I'm just happy that we are going to be in the same college. I wonder if you had even been here. I wonder if I had even found my true love. Hey, don't think like that, said Amy with a grin. I'm just saying, I know what you mean, but I agreed. I'm also happy that I came to this, that I choose this college. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it's our destiny to actually be together, she said. Yeah, it's, yeah, it is something that I believe too, said Eli with a smile. After they left the cafe, they just went to the park to relax, sit down, just watching the ducks in the pond, just having a good time. Amy was leaning against Eli's shoulder and just having a good time. So, any plans for the weekend? Um, I don't believe so. I mean, I do think that William might just have plans to spend time with Ava. I'm surprised that they hadn't even ended up being together. Well, to be fair, they actually tried dating back in high school. Wait, really? They did? Yeah, William told me at one point that he actually had a small crush on Ava, and so they tried for about 2 months, but they realized in the end they the feelings they had for each other wasn't actually romantic ones, so they decided just to be friends. Well, at least they tried though. I mean, if they even if they had feelings for each other but didn't try, they wouldn't have had realized they weren't meant to be. That's true. Yeah. How about we going to I don't know, the arcade tomorrow as a date? Yeah, that was fun. We haven't been to arcade in a couple of months now. Yeah, you know, the studies has been a lot of tough for us. I mean, for upcoming tests and all that, and me and William spend some time playing video games. You just been playing a lot of video games, don't you? Hey, it's an old passion of us. It's a passion from our childhood. Yeah, I don't blame you. I can see you see each other as a best friend, almost like brothers. I mean, you're close. Yeah, that's true. Even though we're not related, but I considered William as like a brother to me. I mean, I only have a sister and no brothers, so yeah, I can see I can relate him to him as a brother since he has always been there. Yeah, that's true. Both Eli and Amy remained at the park the rest of the afternoon. They headed back to the college campus around before the sunset. They decided to just said goodnight to each other, and Eli went back to his room and found William on the bed just playing on his phone. So, how did your day go with Amy? He asked. Oh, they went well. They went well, actually. You know, I was wondering, do you have any plans for the weekend? Um, not really. Why? Hmm, not just curious. Maybe you and Ava would perhaps go on a date. And William just looked at him with a almost mad grin, like, dude, Really? And Eli started laughing. Dude, I'm just only joking. You have pulled that joke so many times that it gets a little bit tired. You know that? And even Ava just get tired of that joke. I know. It's really something. Yeah, I know. So the next day, Eli took Amy to the arcade in town and played a lot of games. Afterwards, they went to a small diner to just grab something to eat, and after that, they just walked around the town for a few hours. So, how's your day been so far today with me, though? It's always a good time with you. You know, I'm still looking back to the time when we first met, when we first started college. Yeah, it was a good experience, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, seeing you there standing with your dark hair, shy, with just a little bit timid girl. Hey, well, you're not that far. I mean, I was nervous. I mean, being so far away from my home, away from my family. Yeah, I know what you meant. Since I've been so far away from my family, it's something. Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, you want to go grab some ice cream, perhaps? Since it's a nice day. Yeah, why not? So they went to the small ice cream shop in town and what got inside each other an ice cream and just having a good time. And the next day, when Eli was in the bed, he just felt a little bit tired, more than usual. And he decided to maybe just to take a nap. But what he didn't know, this was going to be a little different. A few months had passed and the summer had arrived to the college, and Amy had decided to go back home to spend time with her family for a few weeks, and Eli went back home to see his family for a couple of weeks. But after a while, Eli went back to the college, and since he was actually allowed to stay at their dorm room, and he was just having a good time. He spent a lot of most of the time with either William or Ava or by himself. But during this time, he still felt a little tired more than usual. He started having, he had a little bit tiredness. He started feeling a lot more pain in his arms, in the rest of his body, but he thought maybe just through the exercise. The fact that Eli doing a lot of exercise by running, jogging, and he thought maybe it was just some exercise pain. But the pain didn't go away. So he was he told William that he was going to see a doctor just to see if it was just if he had pulled a muscle or something. William nodded and he went back, and when he came back he said, "How'd it go?" That was just a pulled muscle. Don't worry. But the case that in the case wasn't the truth. The pain didn't go away after a couple of more weeks. Even though that he was told by a doctor just relax more and don't overdo his exercise. Because the doctor didn't tell him exactly what's wrong with him, but after about a month, he got the result back from the doctor on the phone, and the doctor was like, "I'm afraid of telling you this, but we had the result from your test." It's just a pull muscle, right? Asked Eli. "I'm afraid not. It's more serious about that," said the doctor. Um, how serious is it? And then the doctor said what it was wrong. Eli was shocked. He couldn't believe it. Just at the time, William walked in and was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were on the phone. Is everything okay, Eli?" "Oh yeah, you know, I'm just tired, that's all." "So, where you been?" I was just in the library, just reading and something like that." "Oh, um, are you sure you're okay, Eli?" asked William. "Positive, I'm just fine," he said with a smile. I just, I will maybe just take, a bit of fresh air. That might help me to, feel from tired. Okay, if you need anything, just call me. Yeah, I will. Even though that William had known Eli for so long, he had a feeling there was something off with his best friend. But he didn't want to push his friend too far just to make him upset or anything, so he put it aside. After a couple more weeks, he had forgotten it entirely. But Eli felt more tired than usual. He often went on to long walks just to get the fresh air, but the true fact it wasn't helping. So he went to the doctor to see if he could have some help, maybe for something for the pain. That did help for a little bit. But one day, after 2 months of the summer holiday, back in South Carolina, Amy was just having a great time with her older brother Mark, with her parents. But suddenly, when she was just watching some TV with her alone, she got a phone call, and it was from Ava. Oh, hey, Ava. How are you? Amy, you had to come back here fast. Right now. Whoa. What is it? What's the problem, Ava? It's Eli. What? What, Eli? Eli is in the hospital. And Amy was sitting there holding her phone and asked if she suddenly just hearing that shocked news made her drop on the phone on the floor and she just sat there. Amy? Amy, please answer, where are you? Hello? Ava's voice echoed but it was like Amy was sitting in a distance far away. It's like you could hearing Ava's voice clearly, but it was so far like she could hear her voice if it was like very far distant, but even it was only like less than a feet away from her. But suddenly Ava yelled in the phone, which snapped out Amy of the phone, her trance, and she picked up the phone and was like, sorry, Ava, what do you mean Eli is in the hospital? Then he explained. Eli collapsed when he was out in town. What? Is it is it serious? I'm afraid you have to come over to yourself. William is already in the hospital, and I had informed Eli's family, and they will be here soon. You had to come back here now. All right, I will be there as soon as possible," said Amy, and hung up the phone. She immediately called her parents. Mom, Dad, you had to take me to the airport. What? What? I'm sorry, honey, but we are at work. We can't just leave. But then she said, well, Eli is in the hospital. What? Said her dad. All right, I will leave work earlier. I will be there. Just have your things packed and be ready when I show up. All right? Okay, Dad. Amy, went to her room, packed some of the things that she needed, her passport, clothes, and all that, what she needed. She was crying. And at the same moment that happened, Mark, her older brother, showed up. He wasn't aware of the calls, or at least what happened. When he saw her standing in the living room, packing some of the things, oh, hey, Amy. Oh, you're going back so soon? When he saw her turn around, crying, Amy, what's the matter? Why are you crying? She ran up to her older brother's arms and hugged him while crying, saying words which he couldn't barely understand. Then he took both his arms in, put on her shoulders, and shook her and said, Amy, snap out of it. What's the matter? And then he was told what happened. What? Is it serious? But she said that, I don't know. Ava didn't tell me what was the actual problem wrong with him. Only that he was in a hospital right now and that his family is coming over soon. And Dad is on the way to pick me up to take me to the airport. I then suddenly heard a car horn outside, and they watched on the window. Oh, he's over here. I will call you as soon as I know more. Alright, take care of yourself. And as Amy ran to the car, she was crying. Even her dad tried to talk to her, comfort her, but it didn't work. She was devastated. What was actually wrong with her fiancé? She thought to herself. And even on the plane trip back to her college, she didn't know exactly what's wrong. As she was waiting at the airport for Ava to pick her up, Ava did actually have a license and had her own car. So she picked her up and they talked on the way to the hospital. And it's like even when she was shaking, Amy was crying as she hadn't even cried this before. Much than and she hasn't even cried this since she was a kid, when her grandmother passed away when she was young. Ava, please tell me, what's wrong with Eli? At first, Ava didn't know how to explain, but then she told her, I don't know exactly myself. I even had known about this. I only been told that from William that something was wrong with Eli. But he doesn't even know either. What? You two are Eli's best friends, or his childhood friends, and he hadn't even told you? I'm afraid not. William told me that he suspected that there was something wrong with Eli. He went to a doctor 2 months ago, and just he he said it was not just he had only a pulled muscle in his arm and some exercise pulling training or whatever. There was something like that, and I don't know what's wrong with him. Soon as they arrived at the hospital, they ran in and asked for reception where Eli was located. They ran to his room and found William outside, and he said that Eli was unconscious right now, or at least that's what he thought. William, why didn't you tell me about this? William started to cry himself and said, I'm sorry, Amy. If I had known about this, would have told you earlier, but I didn't know that it is about this serious. I mean, Eli is my best friend. He's more like a brother to me. I suspected something was wrong with my best friend, but I didn't know it was this serious. I mean, even when I came back to our dorm room 2 months ago, or last month, I just heard him talking on the phone with someone, but I didn't know who he was talking to. I assumed that he was talking to his family back home. Or he didn't talk to you, but he didn't say anything. He just went back to the hospital for a couple of times just to, having some pains killers for his muscle pain, but it lasted for more than that. And what happened? I don't know much details. Eli was in town just out for a walk. He said that he needed some fresh air, and he did look a little bit tired. And I don't know what happened. And he had actually even had left the dorm room several times in a week, and often came back, sometimes after a couple of hours. And I always asked him where he had been. He said just out for a walk in town and just went to the park just to get some fresh air to just make it feel better. I actually took I took all those stories and explanations, excuses to heart. I honestly believe that he was just tired. And you know how he exercised a lot. Either that or running or even sometimes go to the gym. Yeah. But what happened? Well, all I know that I was in the dorm room. I received a call from the hospital telling me that my friend Eli was in a hospital, that he had collapsed middle of town. He was unconscious, that he was not responding to any direct communication. The EMTs took him to the hospital, and it was then they called me that I needed to reach out to his family since they didn't have his next of kin's contact info. And luckily, I did have his older sister on my number, her number on my phone. So I called her, informing her about Eli, and I told Ava to call you, and that's it. And then suddenly a nurse came up to them. Amy walked up to her and asked if it was possible that she could go inside to see him. She nodded, but instead, don't stay too long because he might be too weak. As Amy walked in, she saw Eli laying in a hospital bed. He was trying to smile, but he couldn't. He was too weak. She couldn't believe it. And then she walked up to him and stood by his side and said, Eli! Hi, sweetie. She could hear by the tone of his voice that he was so weak that he could barely talk. He was barely conscious. What? Why did you even tell anyone, especially me? I didn't want to worry you. What's wrong with you? It might be hard to believe, but it turned out that Eli was suffering from leukemia, blood cancer. When Amy heard that, her whole world crashed. She started crying, and she fell on her knees like, why didn't you tell me? I didn't want to worry you. But why didn't you at least tell your friends? They were evenly ordered as I am. Not to worry, Amy. It's gonna be fine. You know what's wrong I am. But don't worry. Eli, you dummy. But William said that you haven't been leaving the hospital leaving the dorm room for several times in weeks. Where were you even going? I doubted you would even went to the park or you would just walk around the town. And Eli shook his head and explained. No, I wasn't. I was in the hospital. But why? And then he explained. Turned out that due to his cancer condition, he made his kidneys to turn off, or to shut down. They just simply start working. And doctors informed him that he had to go through the dialysis process in order to have him to get some more time. He had been put on the transplant list. When Amy heard this, she couldn't believe it. Why didn't you even tell me? I love you, Eli. This is the most stupid thing you've ever done. You had to fight. Don't worry, Amy. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fine. But before he could say anything more, he passed out. He was too tired. She sat there on the floor only for more a few minutes before leaving the room. William and Ava was still standing outside, and when they saw her crying more, they decided to go to a cafe in a hospital to talk more and try to figure out what to do next. At the cafe, William asked her, "Did he tell you what was the wrong with him?" She nodded. "Then what's the problem with him?" "He has leukemia." "He has what?" said both William and Ava at the same time. "He has blood cancer? And he haven't told us? Why?" "He didn't want to worry us." "I need to talk to him." "No, should let him rest. He's tired." "I can't believe it. My own best friend hadn't even want to tell me any of this. Even I understand that something was wrong, but I have no idea how severely bad it was," said William. "I mean, we had known that idiot for so long. I thought maybe we would have known by now that if something was serious wrong, we'd have picked up any signs by it," said Eva. "Yeah, but what can we do?" "It's not much we can do," said William sadly. "At least he is going through dialysis to keep his wallet." "Yeah, but the thing is," said Eva, "I don't know if you guys know." "Know what?" "If you're on a transplant, or despite what organ transplant you need, if it's a kidney, a heart, the list, it can be long. It can take months, or even years. Or what?" asked Amy. "Or he may not even be found a match." "What?" said Amy almost quietly, but still crying. Eva explained that it's hard to say if Eli will find any match with the next few weeks, the next few months. He could be on the list for over a year or more. Is there not a guarantee that he would even find a match? Then suddenly Ava's phone dinged. "Oh, a text message from Eli's mom. She's telling me that she and her family is coming over and they will be here by around noon tomorrow." I can't believe how his family will react to this. I mean, when I told his family, said William, they couldn't even believe it. I can't believe he's actually didn't want to do this. Yeah, but I really don't know what to do. Yeah, but there isn't much we can do, said Eli. All we can do now is just pray and hope things could be better for him. Yeah, I think perhaps it's best we can head back to college. I just want to stay here, but said Amy, but yeah, agreed. So the three of them went back to college. Even that night, none of them could even sleep well. They were so worried about Eli, knowing now that he had leukemia or blood cancer. It was one of the worst conditions that they ever heard. And even Eli, or even William spent time to research about this on his phone that night to see if what best treatment is, if there was no. But knowing how his kidneys has shut down, and that transplant was the most likely the only solution for him to survive. By the next day, around noon, Amy, Ava, and William were already at the hospital when Eli's family showed up. His older sister, Emily, which is only 2 years older than him, like, "William, Ava, how is he?" "We don't know. We haven't even seen him yet." "But I cannot believe my own brother refused to even telling any of you for 2 months? How stupid can that knucklehead be? Said Emily, a little bit angry. Watch your tone, you young lady, said her dad. But Dad, I know what you mean. I cannot even believe myself either, said. Then suddenly the doctor came to inform his family. Is it possible we can see him? It's possible, but just don't stay too long. Amy, William, and Ava took Eli's family to the room where he was staying. They were waiting outside while Eli's parents and older sister talked to him. They couldn't hear exactly what they were talking about, since they had the door closed for privacy. But when they left the room, Emily stopped and turned to Amy and said, "He wants to talk to you." What? It's probably you going inside before he passed out again. He's very tired. She nodded and went in. And he was actually the same tired state as he was the day before. "You want to talk to me?" Yes. Amy stood by her side, and even though she was crying, but he said, tried to smile, but was probably a half a smile. He tried to telling her exactly what, but even though some of the words didn't come out strong enough, he said, "I'm so sorry, Amy. That our dreams of a future together is not gonna happen." "Don't say it like that. You will be fine. The doctors will save your life." "No, they won't be able to." "Don't talk like that. You know we'll be fine. We have been talking about our marriage. Ever since you proposed to me, I haven't been this happier. And now you don't want even to choose to fight? You're just giving up. Is that it?" It's not that simple. It's not that simple? How do you think I feel right now? It's probably best that you find someone else to be with. What? It's probably best you find someone else to make you happy, to start a family with. I'm just happy to have known you for this long. Don't talk like that crazy, Eli. You will be out of here soon. But he shook his head and said, "No, I'm not that strong anymore. I'm already ready to move on." "Eli, don't worry about me, Amy. It will be fine. I I love you." But then he passed out. And then she just stormed out of the room, crying. And she ran into William's arms and he tried to comfort her. And she told him, and even told Eli's family what happened. And William's like, he's a fighter. He won't even give up that much, that easy. But based on the look of Amy's crying and her, she is like, no. He's given up. But there was one thing something that William told Amy. Something that that Eli had even told her. Back in their hometown, when William was young, around in middle school, he was bullied. And since Eli was always his best friend, he protected him. Even let him to be hurt. He had a lot of bruises and a black eye, but regardless, he always protected his best friend. Any of his friends. He's a fighter. But Amy, she couldn't believe it. If he's a fighter, then why he's just simply just given up? He's just saying like that. No, he just... I don't know if I would believe anymore, Amy said. Amy, just leave me alone. And then she just took off running. Amy! Screamed Ava. It's probably best to leave her alone, said William. I just hope that she can make it. Eli, you better get better, said William to himself. This girl really loves you. Amy ran all the way back to the dorm room, and Ava didn't return back since she understood that Amy needed some time for herself. So she decided to just let her to be. The next day, she went back to the hospital with William and Ava to meet up with Eli's family. And at the same time, even her own family had showed up. Even her older brother Mark. When she saw her brother, she ran up to him and hugged him. She didn't know what to believe, and even he said that he said the same thing as William said. Your fiancé is a strong fighter. He's a good man. He won't be given up that easy. But he said, yeah, what he said, it is just what he said. He will not give up that easy. Don't worry, he will. Even when they told her from the doctor to telling that the list that even some of Eli's family could have been a donor. So they tested their blood. But none of his family, none of his parents or his older sister were not even a match. No other relatives either wasn't a match. And the list that he was put on, it could take months or even a couple of years before even he could found a match. Or never. Amy was really devastated. Now that she had been engaged for over a year, and now she was simply just gonna lose her fiance that simple by a disease, and that he had just simply given up hope to fight it. While Amy was in the hallway, she overheard the doctor mentioning the blood type that Eli had, and she realized she had the same blood type. She wonders if her blood or if her kidneys could have been a match. So she asked a nurse if they could take a sample and test if she could be a match. And some time passed, and she later find out she was a perfect match. But she was talked to the doctor and said, and Eli's family about this. Is this something you really want to do, Amy? Asked Eli's mother. Yes, I'm willing to give one of my kidneys to save Eli. But you should know, young lady, that there's only a 50-50 chance it might work. Despite the donated kidney, it might be rejected. I know, but I'm willing to do this. I'm not simply just wanting to let my fiancé just pass away from that. If he doesn't want to fight for it, I'm willing to fight for him. The doctors could see in her eyes how passionate about she wanted to save Eli's life, regardless of what she'd do. Alright then. If you're willing to do this, and if your family are okay with this, Amy talked to her parents and her brother about this. And they talked to her about the risk but regardless, they could see the spark in her eyes of desperate need in order to save Eli. Because who knows what if she could have done if she had lost Eli. She's like, Mom, Dad, I need to do this. You have no idea how this could actually happen. I, I, I can see that now, said Amy's mom. We will support you. Wait, really? Yes, we will, said Mark with a big smile. Eli has always been so kind to you. He treated you so kindly, so generous, so well. Why would you even want to let him go when you found is your true happiness? Believe me, he needs to be with you. Amy cried and smiled and hugged her family for this support. She went to the doctor and they arranged to have it to be repaired. But she only had one request. If Eli would ask who the donor is when he wakes up, perhaps they should telling him, well, it's not the telling him exactly who the donor is well before the surgery, if he asks who the donor is. But they were allowed to telling him after the surgery was over when it's a success. So Amy was taken to for surgery and she was nervous, but she was willing to do this. Later, Eli woke up in his hospital bed, and a nurse was standing next to him, and she asked him how he was feeling. He said, "Tired, but I feel a little bit better, I guess." And it turned out that the kidney transplant was a success. Then he asked her if she can ask who the donor was or where the donor is. And she said, "Oh, she is right next to you in the next bed." Even being despite even despite being so tired, Eli slowly turned his head and saw Amy. Despite being so tired, he was shocked to knowing Amy gave one of her kidneys to save his life. He smiled and started crying of joy. He said to himself, "Amy, you are crazy, but I really appreciate what you did." And smiled and still cried, and then he fell asleep later on. Next day, when he was awake, he noticed that Amy was also awake. He's like, "Amy, thank you. I told you that you shouldn't give up fighting," she said, a smile while crying. If you were not willing to give up, if you were willing to give up fighting, I would fight for you. I appreciate it. Now you can't just stop saying that you won't have a future with me." "That's true, but it might take a while for us to leave the hospital, though." "Yeah, but I don't mind. As long as I'm with you, I'm happy about it." "Same here," said Eli with a smile. Later same day, Eli's family showed up along with Ava, William, and even Amy's family. Eli's older sister Emily walked up to him and looked at him and said, "You crazy knucklehead." "Hey sis, and yeah, it's nice to see you too, knucklehead." "Hey, if there's only a knucklehead in the family, it is you," said she with a big grin. "Well, I got you. How are you feeling, sweetie?" asked his mom. "I feel a little bit better, but just tired." Well, that's you to understand what you went through, said William. And we we can't just not lose you. You're my brother. You're my friend, said William back. Yeah, same here. And then Mark walked up to him and said, Eli, thank you. What? Thank you for being there for my sister. It should it should be me thanking you. Why? To being there for her while she was sad. Amy heard this, and she was crying of joy tears, and she only said, well, I'm willing to fight for you no matter what happens. Yeah, same here. Even though I was willing to give up fighting and just move on. But seeing all of you here, especially you, Amy, I I'm willing to fight now forever to be with you. I want us to be married. Hearing those words made her cry even more. Even after some time, Amy's family had to go back home, and so did with along with Eli's family. But before they left, they told Eli and Amy to take care of themselves and keep them updated if something would happen again. They promised. During the time that when they had to stay in the hospital, Ava and William came by just to spend time with their friends, just to make them better. But when they were alone, Eli and Amy lay there in their beds and just talking for hours about their upcoming future together as a married couple. They often talked about how they wanted the wedding to be like. And after some time, they were able to leave the hospital. It was even around the time when the school started again. And everyone at the college knew about what had happened. Some of the other friends that they had made over the 3 years, over the past 4 years, they were just happy to see that both Amy and that Eli pulled through. Especially the girls, who saw that they saw Amy as a true hero, that she was willing to sacrifice one of her own kidneys in order to save her fiancé. That made her quite popular, but not only that, they called her either the Saint of South Carolina or the hero of South Carolina. Amy laughed about those new nicknames, but she loved this. She was willing to do anything to protect her fiancé, future husband, at any time, regardless. As time went on, Amy and William, Eli and Amy managed to pull through their last year of college. And after they finished it, they was just happy to complete their 4 years of college. But there were then another question what they should do now. Where to stay, where to live. They had discussed about debating if they should move to Eli's hometown or move to South Carolina to be closer to Amy's family. But after a while of debating and even discussions with both sides of families, they all agreed that it was probably for the best to move to South Carolina, since Eli wanted to be a teacher, or at least something. But even though he was probably wanted to be a teacher, but eventually didn't make it, but he became a mechanic along with Amy's dad and brother, who worked at their own car repair shop. So after a while, they were just happy to do this. And after 3 years, Amy was taken to a restaurant by Eli to propose when he wanted to celebrate that it had been 2 years since he was saved by Amy. It's one of the best emotions, that the best feelings they both had together. But even so, Eli was just happy to be with Amy. And just after being together for more than another 3 years later, they decided to have a small wedding in South Carolina. Close wedding with close friends. Amy had called and asked Ava, "Hey Ava, hey Amy, I just want to ask you if you were willing to be my maid of honor for the wedding." "Well, of course I want to. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Eli will ask, um, you know, William to be the best man of the wedding," which he actually did, which were not a big surprise considering that they were best friends for so long time. But another surprising that during this time after they both all of them had finished college, Ava and William actually gave a second chance of go out again to see if there could be something between them. And during this time, they actually even had got married themselves. They even got married only 1 year before Amy and Eli's wedding. They were quite surprised that their own friends actually decided to try again. Turned out that during this time when Eli was in the hospital, when he was before he had the surgery and all that, they actually fell in love with each other. Because during that time, Ava was crying her eyes out of she didn't want to lose one of her oldest friends. And during that time, William was there for her to comfort her, and it was then they both realized they truly loved each other. And they actually were meant to be. And of course, Amy were Ava's bridesmaid or maid of honor, and Eli was William's best man at their wedding. But now they were going to have their own wedding. And on their wedding day, both Amy and Eli was quite happy. Even though Eli was a little bit nervous when he was standing by the altar next to William. "Hey, are you having cold feet by any chance?" "Me? Cold feet? Never." "Then why are you acting a little bit, shaky, nervous?" "Yeah, I am nervous." But William said with a smile, "Don't worry, dude. It will be fine. I mean, if I had been telling you a secret, I felt pretty much the same during my wedding with Ava." "You did?" "Yep. But don't worry. It will be fine. I really hope so." Then the music started, and when he saw her walking up the aisle along with her father's, he couldn't believe the beauty of the beautiful woman that he saw in front of him, walking up to him, smiling. And when she saw that, she started smiling herself. She couldn't believe of this true happiness. It was like a dream that came true. Even after they had said their "I do," all of the friends went to Amy's family's house to have their small wedding reception party, and they just had a good time. And even though that they didn't have enough money to go to a big honeymoon like Paris or Hawaii or anything, Amy's parents, along with Eli's parents' family, had managed to gather enough money so that they could go to a different state for their honeymoon, which was actually not a bad thing. As long as they were together for the honeymoon, they were just happy. And During their honeymoon, Amy and Eli sat on the porch of the house or the cabin they were rented for this honeymoon and just watched the sunset together and said, "You know, this is worthwhile to make it. See, I told you. I wouldn't have done anything else that would keep you safe. I almost regret something." What? What is it you're regretting? That I almost gave up hope to be with you. You dummy. You know I knew you wouldn't do that. You know? That's true. But having you next to me, now officially married, I couldn't have asked for anything better. Yeah, same here, said Amy with a big smile. Both of them were just happy to be newly married couple. But 3 years later, they made a big announcement to both families and friends that they were expecting their first child. But when they said not one, but two, both families were just like, twins? Both Amy and Eli smiled and laughed. Yep, twins. Twin daughters to be fact. Both sides of families was quite excited. And even so, they were just happy. And the day came when their twin daughters was born. They named them Susan and Susie. They were just happy to have this big family together. But 2 years later, they had another child, a son, which they named Leo. Amy and Eli was feeling so blessed that they had twin daughters and one son together. But there was one thing that even Eli was the most happiest about. To be with the one he loved the most in the entire world. But Amy, she was just happy to have Eli by her side. Even despite what happened a few years earlier. But when the time when Eli was in the hospital, she told herself if she had lost Eli, she would never find anyone else to be with. She would have remained alone the rest of her life. But she is still happy that Eli survived. And from time to time, even Eli calls Amy as his true hero. But she always blushed and said, "Don't call me that." Well, it's true though, isn't it? Even when their children was a little bit older, they even told them about the story when their mom saved their dad from dying. Their dad, their daughters, and their son was so happy to hear this story, even when they were young and even getting older. Amy and Eli couldn't be happier to be with the one they loved the most. Amy couldn't have been happier. Ever since when she first met Eli back in the first year of college, she believed that he was the most a handsome guy that she ever seen. She could see a potential future with him. When he proposed to her during the third year, she couldn't have been happier. It was like a dream come true. And even when she found out that he was in the hospital, that she couldn't have lost him forever, it terrified her. But she was willing to fight for him, even if he has given up. And she's glad, she's happy that she did that. And this is how Amy and Eli found a true love and got a big family together. The end.